Where was Kevin Franke? What did he know? When did he know it? Some of the big questions being asked when we're talking about the case against Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt. Kevin, of course, the husband of Ruby, now filing for divorce. His attorney asking him, well, where were you? Apparently, Kevin said, well, I was so desperate to get my wife and my kids back, I was willing to take anyone's advice who I thought was a professional that could help me reestablish that relationship and my bond with my kids and family and my wife. At the end, I was brainwashed. That's the claim that he's making, brainwashed. I could almost see it in this case, somewhat. Certainly, Jodi Hildebrandt had a hold on Ruby Franke, or maybe it was the other way around. We still really don't quite know the answer to that question. Do you buy it? Was Kevin Franke brainwashed? Was he simply doing what Jodi said in an attempt to eventually win his family back over? Here to discuss that very question, Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor and president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers Association. Both of us suffering with colds right now and trying not to choke on camera. What's your thoughts on all that? Was he brainwashed?
Well, Tony, you and I fight through flu season, and Hidden Killers, so nothing's going to stop us.
We're going to make it.
It's possible Kevin was brainwashed. I remember after, Ruby was arrested, he came out with some very bizarre statements in the media defending her. And we're thinking to ourselves in the show, we're like, these are your kids and they're being abused, severe physical abuse. But you're coming to the defense of the abuser. What kind of parent are you? So, at a minimum, bad parent, and maybe, even worse, someone that is completely delusional, because I don't think Ruby Franke cares about Kevin at all. Essentially kicked him out of the house while she's abusing the kids. So I think Ruby Franke maybe cares about herself, and that's it. And Kevin needs to start looking in the mirror and start thinking for his own self-interest. So I'm glad. Seems like he finally came around, but those initial statements were really bizarre, Tony.
Some of the most bizarre were when he was talking about trying to file charges against one of his daughters for going into his home and getting some of her possessions, saying that she was stealing from him. I mean, it read to me almost like someone who was in some sort of delusional state to make a statement like that. How difficult is this going to be for Kevin to defend himself going forward? Obviously, no charges have been brought against him yet. But I wouldn't be all that surprised if there's something that comes up here, or at least some investigative work that goes into trying to see what exactly he was involved in with all this.
Well, he's definitely lost in the court of public opinion because people think that he's a terrible dad. Now, with respect to criminal charges, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but he wasn't physically present. I mean, he was not anywhere near the home where a lot of this abuse happened. So usually when you have a failure to protect type case, so obviously when you're dealing with child abuse, you can be the abuser or you can be a parent that fails to protect, but if he's not physically present, it's going to be tough. But, you never know with these cases. We've seen, Lori Vallow, be under someone's spell potentially. We don't know if she's the one who killed her kids or it was Chad Daybell. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Rex Heuermann's wife, and we got to put Kevin Franke in the boat of, some people that made some terrible decisions, terrible life decisions, and they ended up with someone that really ended up doing bad things to other people. And in Kevin's case, it was bad things to his own kids. And how he responded to it was pretty shameful at a minimum, and maybe even criminal.
Is there anything to abandonment with this? I mean, obviously there was no sort of order or anything like that saying you can't be near your kids. Ruby went off to go be with Jodi Hildebrandt and took the kids with her. He stayed in that apartment by himself. Like he's, according to his attorney, really wanted to get things back on track. But at the same point, it was his own choice. He did stay there. He didn't go and check on his kids. He wasn't looking after their well-being. And there was nothing that was, really preventing him from doing so, other than his wife. Can that be looked at as some sort of an abandonment of your own children in that case, considering abuse then took place while you were not present?
Potentially, yes. But I mean, parents are free to give up custody of their kids. I mean, it does happen. Most parents don't. They fight for custody. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes that's the problem, right? That ends up in someone getting killed or some sort of violence occurring. But, at the end of the day, if, Kevin said, I'm going to stay, you take the kids, you have custody, there's nothing unlawful with that unless Kevin acted with some knowledge or recklessness of the fact that Ruby was and was going to continue abusing those kids. Gonna be tough to prosecute someone under those facts. Tony.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you want more of our interview with our guests, be sure to check out our podcast, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Just search that wherever you download podcasts and press subscribe. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel for the full video version of the interviews as well, under the same name, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Check it out, subscribe, binge, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.